Hello everyone, my name is Dinda Selino Membang. It's student ID 2022-32002. Alright everyone, in this spreadsheet, I will explain how I process raw data into a frequency distribution table step by step. In this table, this is called basic calculation. First is finding a value of maximum. We identify the highest value in the data set to tells us the upper limit of our data. In Excel, we can use max and block all of data that we have. The next is finding the minimum value. This helps us to understand where the data start. In Excel, we can use min and block all data that we have. The third is finding the value of n, which is number of data. That's count how many data points we have in total. In Excel, we can use count and block all data that we have. The fourth is finding the range. This use value maximum minus value of minimum. This is tell us how spread out the data is. The fifth is finding the number of classes. This determines how many classes we want using to the formula. We can use 1 plus 3.3 times by log n. After calculating the value of number of classes, we can round the result to the nearest whole number. The next is finding the class interval, which is using range divided by k. We usually round up this value up so the intervals are easier to use. The next table is constructing the frequency table. The first is determining the upper class limit. We start forming the class intervals by setting the upper limits, and each upper limit is obtained by adding the class with C to the previous value. The second is determining the lower class limit. The lower class limit is the starting value of each interval. In this case, we can take the value of upper class and add up with class interval and minus with 1. So the next value of upper class, we can use with take the value of lower class and plus with 1. And after that, we can drag the cursor down and we can get the value of each number. Same like upper class, we can do that to the lower class by dragging the cursor down. The third is finding the frequency. This is count how many data points fall into each class interval. This is called frequency. We can do this with Excel function with frequency and block all data we have before and add a comma as a separator with value of lower class. And after that, we can enter this and we have the first value of frequency. Same like before, we can dragging down the cursor to get all of value with this column. The fourth is finding the relative frequency. Relative frequency shows the proportion of data in each class. The value of relative frequency is obtained from the frequency value divided by n, then multiplied by 100%. At first, the value will be decimal. To change it to percentage, we can press this button and the value will be percentage. After that, we can dragging down the cursor to get all of this value for the column. The fifth is finding the cumulative frequency less than. We can do this by adding frequencies from the top down. This shows how many data points are below a certain class. For the first row, we can take the value from the first row from frequency. And for the second row, we can take the first value of cumulative frequency more than and adding by the second value from the column of frequency. After that, we can dragging down the cursor so we can get all the value with this column. The last is finding the cumulative frequency more than. This is done by adding frequencies from the bottom up. This shows how many data points are above a certain class. For the first row, we can take the value from n, and then for the second row, we can take the value from first row before and minus with the first value of frequency. And after that, we can dragging down the cursor so we can get all of the value for this column. To get this bar chart, we can block the frequency column and go to the insert tab and press this button, and we can choose which one the chart we want to use. And that's all that I make in this spreadsheet. Okay, that's all that I can explain from my spreadsheet. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.